Forgotten Mine, a bone-chilling tale. Dylan and Kate had always been fascinated by the abandoned places of the world, the places where people went and then simply vanished, forgotten by time. When they heard about the old Hawthorne mine, they couldn't resist. It had been closed off for decades after a series of mysterious disappearances, and only a handful of locals even knew where the entrance was. Whispers about the mine spoke of dark forces that lurked beneath, of miners who had disturbed something they shouldn't have, and of creatures that fed on the souls of the living. The locals steered clear of the place, warning anyone who asked about it to never, under any circumstances, venture near. But to Dylan and Kate, the rumors were just that, stories to be debunked. They were adventurers after all, always seeking the next thrill. Armed with flashlights, cameras, and a sense of false bravado, they set out to find the entrance to the mine. After hours of hiking through thick woods and rugged terrain, they finally found it. The mouth of the mine, a yawning, dark opening in the side of a mountain. The iron bars that once sealed it had rusted and fallen away, leaving the entrance wide open. "Here it is," Dylan said, his voice full of excitement. "The forgotten mine. Let's see what's inside." Kate hesitated for a moment. There was something about the place that felt wrong. The air around it was stale and thick with the smell of old decay. The entrance itself seemed to swallow the light from their flashlights, making the shadows feel deeper and darker than anything they'd ever seen before. Still, they pressed on, pushing through the unease that crept up their spines. They ventured inside, their footsteps echoing in the vast emptiness of the mine. The walls were lined with jagged rock, and the air was thick with the smell of damp earth and rotting wood. Old, rusted mining tools were scattered around, and the tracks that once carried carts of ore were now buried in layers of dirt and debris. As they moved deeper, the air grew colder, the silence more oppressive. It was as though the very earth had swallowed any sound, leaving only the faint echo of their breathing. And then they heard it, a low, rumbling sound. It started as a distant growl, but as they continued down the tunnel, it grew louder. It wasn't the sound of wind, nor the settling of the mine. It was something else, something that sent a chill down their spines. "Did you hear that?" Kate whispered, her voice tight with fear. Dylan nodded, his flashlight flickering. "Yeah, it's probably just an animal, like a bear or something." But deep down, they both knew it wasn't an animal. It was far too low, far too guttural. Suddenly, the ground beneath their feet trembled. The walls of the mine shuddered with a strange vibration, and the air seemed to grow heavier. Kate stumbled, nearly falling, but Dylan caught her. They both froze, listening. Then through the deafening silence, they heard something they couldn't ignore. Footsteps. Slow, heavy, deliberate steps, like someone or something was moving just ahead of them in the darkness. The sound was unmistakable. A creature was walking in the tunnel, and it was coming closer. Kate grabbed Dylan's arm. "We need to get out of here, now." But before they could turn to leave, the mine seemed to come alive. Shadows stretched across the walls, flickering and dancing with the light from their flashlights. The air grew colder, and the rumbling grew louder, almost as though the earth itself was groaning in pain. The footsteps were closer now, but no matter how much they turned or twisted, they couldn't see what was making the sound. The dark seemed to shift, as though the shadows themselves were alive, following them, reaching for them. "Dylan, I can't see anything. Where are we?" Kate gasped, her voice trembling. I don't know," Dylan shouted, panic rising in his chest. "This isn't right. We're lost." The shadows seemed to press in on them from all sides, and the rumbling now turned into a growl. It was like the mine itself was alive, a beast that fed on the fear of anyone who entered. The growling was now accompanied by an eerie, choking sound, like someone gasping for air, gurgling as if something was trying to speak. Suddenly, something cold and slick brushed against Dylan's leg. He screamed, stumbling backward, but whatever it was followed him, sliding across the floor like a serpent. They turned to run, but the tunnel seemed to stretch on forever. The exit was nowhere to be seen, and the growls grew louder. They were trapped. In the distance, they heard something else now, a voice, low and raspy, like it was being spoken from the depths of the earth itself. "Leave! Now!" They bolted, their breath coming in ragged gasps as the sound of the growling followed them. The shadows reached out, brushing against their skin as they ran, and the air thickened with the smell of rotting meat. They could feel something chasing them, though they could never see it, always just out of reach, its hot breath on their necks. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, they saw a sliver of light, the entrance. They ran for it, not looking back, not caring about anything but escaping the madness that had consumed the mine. They stumbled out of the tunnel and into the open air, gasping for breath. The sun had set, but the mine behind them was silent, its entrance dark and foreboding once more. The shadows that had chased them were gone, as if they had never been. They didn't speak on the way back. Both knew what they had heard, what they had felt. The thing that had been waiting in the darkness. The mine wasn't just abandoned. It was alive, and it would never let go of those who dared to enter. Have you ever found yourself hopelessly lost, confused, and feeling like you were being watched? Beware. There are terrifying and mysterious beings that few have ever seen and lived to talk about. If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe and follow us for more. Join us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube for more bone-chilling chronicles, if you dare.